And then, as part of this whole pandemic agenda, we have people saying we have to listen to the so-called experts, and the so-called official narrative isn't to be questioned. And you know who this is coming from? This is coming from actual and de facto Satanists. Folks, I very rarely have ever talked about actual names of people inside the satanic community, because guess what? You don't really have to understand their names. It's not as important. This is what everybody thinks, oh, it's so important. Name all these names. You know? If I said James Comerford, what the hell is that to you? You don't know this name. You don't know anybody. You wouldn't know who that is. You would know nothing. You know, if I said, just out of the top of my head, Vincent Allen, you have no idea who that is. What would it mean to you? If I told you any of these Satanists that I worked with worked in as a manager of any particular store or bank, or were a teacher at an Ivy League university, or were a judge in a particular district, or even were, for example, a police chief of a town, what would be the difference if a name was named? You could name people like Michael Aquino. Michael Aquino was a general in the armed forces, in the Army's psychological warfare division, who was a practicing and renowned Satanist, a Setian, the high priest of the Temple of Set, experimenting and conducting experimentation in electronic torture techniques while he is a professed Satanist and while he is actively in the United States military, and then was brought up on trial charges for child trafficking, for involvement in child trafficking rings. And do you know what happened to his military career? Oh, it wasn't ended. He was promoted to a 4-star general, even after those allegations. And they weren't just allegations, folks. And then people want to say, you're not naming names, as if naming names is going to do anything. You need to understand their mindset and strategies, because you know what these Satanists are doing? They're giving you their mindset, and you never understand that that becomes your mindset. And that's why they can beat you. That's why they can own you. That's why they can enslave you. Because they can't enslave anybody that's outside their mindset fully, entirely, wholly outside of it. Oh, but they can enslave the mini-me Satanists that they give a watered-down variant of their ideology, and they become a de facto Satanist. So whether you're talking about actual Satanists involved in some sort of a actual network of Satanists worldwide, and or they are de facto Satanists that agree with the ideology of Satanism and the politics of it in many cases, the high-level politics of it, which is globalism. We're already seeing many of them out in the public, an externalization of the satanic hierarchical network, if you will. They are the control freak governors of the states with the hardest clampdown and lockdowns during this so-called pandemic. They are the so-called medical experts that are pushing a particular narrative. And they are then the NGO, non-government organization foundations like the Gates Foundations, Bill and Melinda Gates, etc. And folks, they're flaunting it. They're flaunting it out in the open in our faces. On, I believe it was the Today Show, not certain about it. I actually downloaded the video. This is a frame of that video. Taken from that appearance, Melinda Gates went on with an actual inverted cross necklace, a small inverted cross medallion which is absolutely a symbol of organized Satanism. It is not a symbol of the Church of Satan. It is not a symbol of the Temple of Set. These are low-level satanic network organizations that interface with the public. It is, however, a symbol of worldwide Satanism and the worldwide satanic network because it is a symbol of the inversion principle, the inversion of the Trinity, the inversion of Christ consciousness in general. I've talked about it ad infinitum, the inverted cross. Talked about it a lot in my presentation called Demystifying the Occult Part 2, Satanism and the Dark Occult. And I listed the inverted cross and the inversion principle as one of the major pieces of symbology of worldwide Satanism. Doesn't matter whether the Church of Satan or the Temple of Set or any other particular organization does not embrace it as one of their particular symbols. The Church of Satan embraces the Baphomet design that Anton LaVey created. The Temple of Set embraces the simple inverted pentagram that was favored by Michael Aquino. The Whitehall Church of Satan here in Whitehall, Pennsylvania, always favored a variation of the Baphomet known as the Hearth, Hearth. So you could look up any of these things. They all have their preferences for symbology and organization. They don't all organize one way. You have to look at them as sects, just like there are sects of Christianity. It does not mean that the inverted cross is not a chosen and agreed upon symbol of the worldwide satanic network, because it absolutely is and has been since Christianity has embraced that symbol. They've inverted it. These are Satanists, ladies and gentlemen. This is the missing piece of the puzzle. These are control freaks. They're people who think they're God. They're people who think there are kings, are rulers, are masters, that their worldview and that their absolute decrees are not to be questioned or challenged. That's the definition of what it means to be a Satanist. The very definition. And we have to understand their mindset if we're going to defeat them. We have to first understand that the world is run by Satanists. This is the missing piece of the puzzle that many, many, many people who are waking up because of this crisis and starting to ask questions still, as yet, do not comprehend or understand. That what lies behind the ostensible rulers, the ostensible politicians, the ostensible structures of power are satanic, dark, occult, social engineering mind controllers. And it doesn't matter if you know their names personally, folks. The former governor of Pennsylvania was involved in Satanism. One of the directors of the Federal Reserve was involved in it. People in intelligence agencies are champions of Satanism. People of major banks, corporations, champions of Satanism. Teachers, politicians, judges, police, actors, people in music, in the music industry, people in technology. You could go on and on and on and on. They're in every position of power and influence in our world. And you need to understand their mindset, which I'm not going to go all into today. You can look it up in my former work. Understand their belief and their mindset, because they are the ultimate enemy behind the scenes. And the secondary enemy is the people that they have brainwashed into their worldwide satanic cult.